Yeah, great pleasure to have joining us on the show today. Man that is known in this part of the world, particularly Tampa Bay area. Of course, a former Buccaneer, but played in the NFL for 6 seasons. Also played for Buffalo and Detroit. We're going to talk right now to a man who's written a book called The Next Level, A Game I Had to Play. His autobiography. Vernon Turner joined us today by telephone. How are you, Vernon?
How you doing, Doug?
I'm doing great. Good to have a chance to talk to you. I had a chance to read through the book last week and really enjoyed it. I almost wish there was more of it. It's a quick read, and it's a great story you tell of your life. I guess some of it probably not easy to write about, though. You had kind of a tough upbringing, didn't you?
Oh, it was extremely difficult. The whole deal. I mean, even today, I look back, and even though I went through it, I still wonder what in the world, and how in the world, And something that, a bunch of messages inside that book, as you well may know. Hopefully, messages that can help people that are in similar circumstances that were in all those years ago. So it was an unbelievable tale. Steven Spielberg couldn't have written my script, and hopefully I can pay this thing forward now.
Yeah, I grew up in New York. I was born in Brooklyn like you, but obviously I grew up in Long Island. But you were born in Bed-Stuy, which a very tough neighborhood, and then you moved to, which I thought was kind of interesting. I never heard anybody moving to Staten Island, but you did. That must have been a bit of a culture shock for you.
That's a major understatement, Doug. I mean, just the way the whole thing transpired. I can literally say within 48 hours, I was abruptly moved from the only home that I knew and the only culture that I knew, and totally moved to a completely different realm of life. And you talk about an adjustment for a young kid. I had to grow up pretty fast. I mean, I was braiding hair, changing diapers, cleaning house, cooking dinners at age 9. It's an unbelievable tale. My parents, they were both gone by the time I was a freshman in college. And I had to support my brothers and sisters, and I had to be the disciplinarian from my college dorm room for 3 years. So it was a tough and unbelievable task, and it's a read that everyone needs to read at every age, I think.
You talk about your mom's problems. Obviously, you go into it in detail about the drug situation she went through, and you hear stories similar to yours, and you always wonder how do the kids deal with that. And you saw her taking drugs at certain time, and when you were maybe 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 years old. I don't know how you process that.
You really don't. It took years for me to actually process and knew the whole meaning of that. At age 11, I found out why. I knew my mom took drugs for years, and at age 11, one day after school, I found out why, and it was such a heartbreaking time for me because I found out at that day that I came into this world under horrific circumstances. My mom was brutally attacked, and I was the result of the horrific evening that my mom went through, and then from there she just went downhill. Turned to drugs and prostitution, and she just spiraled down. But incredibly, for a woman that spiraled down the way she did, she had 5 kids and she took care of every one of them. She made sure the roof was over the head and the clothes was on the back and the food was on the table. And, for that, and ultimately, she could have given me up for an abortion, given me up for adoption or had an abortion under the circumstances that I was conceived. But she gave me life, man, and I tell you what, my goal in life now and mission is to leave this earth with my parents, especially my mom, being proud. I came in this world under horrific circumstances, Doug. So I'm going to leave it with a legacy that they'll be proud of.
Yeah, it's an amazing story when you think of it. Obviously, she's going through all that, but there's something inside somewhere, maybe from her upbringing or some kind of God-like message she got, or at least she realized, not having an abortion, like you said, or putting up for adoption. I mean, there was something there that kept her going, despite all her other problems, right? So,
well, I tell you, it was a tough task because there were times prior to me knowing what my mom went through. There were times when my mother would look at me and she would have such cold looks and cold eyes towards me, and I found after that I put the pieces together and I realized that I was sometimes a reminder of what she went through that horrific day, that horrific evening. So I think think the reason why my mom ultimately became super mom and incredible mom and took care of us like she did is because of my grandmother. My grandmother had unbelievable morals and values, and it kicked in when it needed to kick in with my mom.
Right.
And it was evident. It was obvious because she kept us all safe. She kept us all. That was one of the main reasons why she left. She left Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn. And the amazing story about that was that she met my stepdad, who I don't call him my stepdad anymore. He's my father. She met him while she was out there doing prostitution. Mm. So it's, again, tale after tale after incredible tale throughout this book. People will read and say, oh, my God, are you kidding me? And it's just one of those things to where people will actually learn from my book, from the stories inside my book.
Called The Next Level, a game I had to play. We're talking with Vernon Turner, and obviously you won't go through the whole chronology, let the people read it, but you went on to Staten Island, you played high school football there, and really found a coach there that believed in you and really kind of took the next level with you to kind of make sure you stayed on the right track to get into was it Division II college or junior college, Vernon?
It was NAIA
right.
college. It was equivalent to Division II NCAA. Yeah. And I tell you what, it didn't even begin there. It actually began when I was playing Pop Warner Lilith football, and a coach named Bill Thatcher came into my life, and it was a time when I was playing for him. And I couldn't go to all the practices, and I couldn't do all those things. I couldn't come on time all the time because of the things that were going on at home. I had to babysit and cook dinners, but I didn't want people to know my personal business. They didn't know. No one knew. And I didn't want them to know. All they knew is that I was coming to practice late or I wasn't coming at all, but the coaches would play me on Saturdays. So I saw that my teammates started to resent me, so I just quit. And Bill Thatcher tracked me down, and he sat me down, and he told me my very first lesson, you are going to do a lot of things in this world, Mr. Turner, but you will never quit on anything. Mm. He says, if I have to move the practices back or pick you up to come to practice, I will do that, but you will never quit. And from that point on, I had that never quit attitude and demeanor. And it carried over into high school. And Coach Fred Oliveri took the ball and ran with it, and he became my everything,
Yeah.
And he taught me all those, it's okay to be the underdog because people underestimate the underdog, and you got to capitalize, and you're going to strike harder than anybody else. And I developed that mentality going into college, and then going into the National Football League. But going into the National Football League, that was a totally different segment. That means every kid in the world wants to be a professional something. Right. And I was the same kid, same type of kid. But it changed when I was in high school, when I was in college, when my dad passed, and my aunt came to move into my home and took care of my brothers and sisters while I was in college. But my senior year, I got a dreadful call that she said she couldn't do it anymore, that we were going to have to break the kids apart. And that's when my knees buckled. Mm. And because, again, like I told you, I was a disciplinarian. It was from my dorm room. I was grounding my brothers and sisters from my dorm room. And that time, I decided to turn pro because I had to make it. We needed money, and we needed it bad and fast. So football saved my life. the game that I fell in love with saved my family. Mm. And that's the reason why I was so successful. I had no business playing in the National Football League, let alone college. I had no business doing that stuff, but I tell you what, God had different plans for me, I tell you.
So you talk about just the way you describe the different training camps you went to, getting through that. I know you talk about Dan Reeves and going through, getting cut. I mean, that's got to be the most disappointing thing a football player can go through, the way they do it with the Turk coming in. I mean, you never quite know when you're going to get cut in football. It's got to be brutal.
Yeah, and you just, and it's obvious that you did read my book because
sure.
I talked all about that. I talked about how the Turk was, but see, my main concern wasn't so much of getting cut and not making it for that reason. My concern was getting cut and not being able to provide and support my family.
Right.
That was the frightening, deadly frightening aspect for me, was that if I did not make it, I was going to lose my family. So that's what I was afraid of. I didn't care about that other part as far as not making it. Because if I got cut, but I was able to support my family, I would have been okay. But because I solely relied on the game that I fell in love with, that's the reason why I was in desperate mode. And again, the man had a special plan for me, and he let me play in the National Football League for 6 years, 2 years in that, and 2 more years in NFL Europe. Had an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. Had an opportunity to hug Whitney Houston before she sang the national anthem.
Oh, yeah.
I had an opportunity to become the first man ever to return a punt for a touchdown for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, when they make a movie about my life, because I promise you they will, they're going to end it in that end zone. October 2nd, 1994, Tampa Stadium.
I was going to say, let's talk about that. Of course, that was always the announcers before the Bucs won their Super Bowl, they always said, "Oh, there's never been a return for a touchdown in Buccaneer history," and you were the guy that kind of broke that. So that's a great honor to have. Talk a little bit about that day, if you would.
Well, I'll tell you, it was a day that will never be forgotten by me, of course, because of what it stood for and what it meant. I mean, behind the scenes in regards to that whole segment, that whole week, hell, that whole year, I got released by the Detroit Lions the year before, and I had some issues. I had some problems with the Detroit organization. Never had an issue with my teammates. Never had an issue with the Detroit Lions fans or the people in Detroit. They showed me mad love. The organization, it was a different story. And I had some problems, and, I felt like I wasn't treated fair and right. So when they released me for good, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers picked me up. And the Bucs knew what they were getting, what they were getting. And they knew that that I was in revenge mode. Mm-hmm. So when that week came up, I was in such focus and such intense mode. I think I got into like 3 or 4 fights that week with my teammates because I was so intense. But that was a special day because I knew something was going to happen, and I knew it was going to be incredible. Either I was going to do so bad and they're going to cut me the next day, or I was going to do something really, really special because I had no intentions on fair catching the ball at any time. And if you look at the records, I did not fair catch the ball. I did not call for fair catch not one time that game. And I had every intention not to. That old saying, you can't make great things happen when you don't have the opportunity to run with the ball.
Right.
So it was an unbelievable day. Everyone knew. All my teammates knew something was going to happen as well. It was in the air. It was a special day that day. And when I crossed that end zone, I tell you, man, it was. I exhaled because I knew that my parents were looking down. And they were saying, "Look at this guy. Look at this young man." And I'm hoping and praying that they said, "Okay, you did it. You did it." And it was an emotional time, an emotional moment. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans and my teammates, I couldn't have asked for a better place to do that. I couldn't have asked for a better place. I love Tampa to death, and that's the reason why they're on the featured cover of my book. That's the reason why, because they are so special to me.
The team, I covered the team back then. I have been down here for a while, and they didn't have a lot to cheer about for many years, and that was one of the great moments. So you provided that for so many fans down here. I don't want to keep it too much longer, Vernon. I know we only said 10 minutes. I did want to ask you, you mentioned about Detroit, and you tell how they didn't really treat you all that well, and I think people out there should probably know about that. I mean, NFL players, I think they kind of think, well, they're kind of treated like they get all these perks and everything, but sports organizations are like regular business. I mean, not everybody in it does a great job. And you talk about Wayne Fonts, who ironically is a former Buccaneer coach. Not the greatest coach to you, but I think I like your candor in the book. I think people should know about that end of the business.
Well, the thing of it is that even with the fact that I didn't really care for him as a coach as much, I do respect and I thank him for giving me the opportunity to further my career. But the way he did it, the way it all transpired, the way he made me feel while under his management, I felt that it wasn't fair, and I never understood it. Still to this day, I don't understand it. I mean, I thought I proved myself that I was one of his better ball players, and at the end of the day, he treated me like a cheap piece of furniture. When he was able to, and when he had an opportunity, he let me go. And there was a major resentment. And he knew on October 2nd, 1994, that he made a mistake and he woken up a sleeping giant. He truly did, and I just pray to God that it worked out the way. It's a storybook tale. Who writes that? Only people write that. Only people sit down and write fiction,
Sure.
and they write movies and stories like that. You don't see that in real life. You really don't. But I lived it, and again, great people in my corner. I couldn't have done it by myself, and I've been blessed 10 times over. And again, I want people to get the true messages within my book, and hopefully it can help them, along the way.
Called The Next Level, a game I had to play. We've been talking with Vernon Turner, and Vernon, give out your website. It's a great, you're doing a lot of great work now with motivational speaking and your organization. Tell people where they get the book and maybe contact you if they like.
Absolutely. It's a one-stop shop. You can go to www.vernonturner.com, and you can get it in every format that just recently got put on audio. So people, if they're not readers, they can just they can plug it in or download it with a CD or MP3 download and just listen to my life story. And also, just like you said, I do motivational speaking. I do personal training. Again, just go to www.vernonturner.com or One Stop Shop and pick up your copy today.
Great. Vernon, real pleasure to have a chance to talk to you. Hopefully we can do it again maybe down the road, or when you hear if the movie project gets going, we'll definitely have you on when that comes out. But a real pleasure to talk to you, and good luck with the book.
It's an absolute honor, Doug, and you have my number. Tampa is always going to be my home in my heart, so you call me anytime.